Racist bully grabs black teacher's throat in lab unaware. She had a military past that would end him. Stop right there, because this isn't just another story. This is the moment a racist bully thought he could grab a black teacher by the throat in her own lab, thinking she was weak, thinking no one would stop him. But what he didn't know, what not a single soul in that classroom knew, was that she had a hidden past in the military. A past filled with battles that trained her to end men like him without breaking a sweat. And before this story is done, you'll see how hate met its match and how discipline crushed arrogance forever. So hit that subscribe button now, because you don't want to miss what happens when the quietest person in the room turns out to be the deadliest. The science lab smelled faintly of chemicals and chalk dust as Ms. Althea Johnson, the new teacher, moved calmly between the rows of restless students, her steady voice explaining formulas on the board. But the atmosphere shifted the moment Brad Turner swaggered in, his smirk dripping arrogance, his friends trailing behind him like shadows. Their laughter meant to intimidate, because everyone in that school knew Brad was the bully no one dared cross. And today, his eyes were fixed on Althea, the black teacher who had embarrassed him last week by calling him out for mocking a shy classmate. So when he slammed his hand on the desk and spat cruel words about her race and background, the room fell silent, students shrinking back in fear. Yet Althea simply turned with calm eyes that unsettled him more than any outburst could. Her voice firm as she told him to take his seat, and that single command cut at his pride so deep that he snapped, lunging forward and wrapping his hand around her throat. Gasps filling the room, phones rising to record. The bully's grip tightening as he sneered, convinced he had the upper hand. But in the next heartbeat, the entire class watched in shock as Althea's composure never cracked, her soldier's instincts flashing alive, her hand twisting his wrist in one swift, calculated move, breaking his hold and forcing him down against the lab table with a thud that rattled the glassware. His friends frozen, his arrogance shattered, and her voice cutting like steel as she told him to sit down, leaving everyone stunned because in that moment, they all realized this quiet teacher was not just an ordinary woman, but someone with a strength and past. They could not yet fathom the silence that followed Brad's humiliation lingered long after the bell rang, whispers racing through the corridors as videos of the moment spread like wildfire. Some students in awe of Ms. Johnson's strength, while others nervously predicted Brad would come back harder. And they weren't wrong, because Brad, seething with rage and nursing the sting of defeat, swore vengeance the moment he stormed out of the lab, his pride shattered in front of the very people he ruled through fear. So that evening he gathered his closest circle of friends in the locker room, hissing threats and vowing to dig into the teacher's past to find something that could destroy her reputation. But what he didn't know was that Althea, sitting alone in her quiet apartment that night, already sensed the battle wasn't over, her soldier's instinct warning her that bullies like Brad never backed down. And as she looked at the military medals hidden in a wooden box under her bed, memories of war flickered in her mind, dusty deserts, nights under gunfire, comrades lost, and she knew that while she had left that life behind to teach, the discipline it had given her would be the only shield she had now. For Brad's fight wasn't just about ego anymore, it was about revenge, and revenge had a way of dragging out truths no one was ready to face. The next day, the tension in the school corridors was almost unbearable. Every student whispering about what might happen when Brad and Ms. Johnson crossed paths again. And though Brad swaggered in with his usual false bravado, his eyes burned with humiliation that had only deepened overnight as the viral video made him the laughingstock of the entire school. So when he confronted Althea during lunch in front of a crowd near the lockers, throwing accusations and shouting that she had assaulted him, he expected fear or denial. But instead, he found her calm gaze cutting straight through his lies, her steady voice reminding him, and everyone listening, that he had been the aggressor. And though his words faltered under the weight of her composure, Brad lashed out again, vowing that he would uncover her dirty little secrets. But even as the crowd gasped, Althea felt no panic, because she knew that while her military past was hidden, it was not shameful, it was powerful, and if Brad pushed her to the edge, he would discover the truth in a way that would strip away every ounce of arrogance he still clung to. By the end of the week, Brad's plan to ruin Ms. Johnson collapsed spectacularly, because when he tried to spread rumors about her past, the truth came out in a way he had never expected. Students discovered she was a decorated military veteran who had served her country with honor. Her name listed in public records for acts of bravery that far outweighed his petty lies. And instead of tearing her down, the revelation lifted her higher in the eyes of the entire school, turning whispers of fear into admiration. So when Brad cornered her one last time, desperate to reclaim his pride, he found not a vulnerable teacher, but a wall of students standing with her, refusing to let him lay another hand on her. And as his own friends drifted away in shame, Brad realized too late that his power had crumbled, while Althea, calm and unshaken, reminded the crowd that hate always destroys itself in the end, leaving her not only victorious but respected, a living proof that discipline, courage, and truth will always outlast arrogance and cruelty.